a vested interest that you will always have to ensure that it does survive, whatever it will take. But if there were a break-up of in the Eurozone, if Italy and Spain could not afford to fund themselves, if their bond yields did not fall, what would the position be? I just posed the question. Taoiseach, we wish you every further success.
Senator Van Turnhout.
I wish to share my times with Senator Sapone and Senator O'Donnell, 6, 3 and 1 minute respectively. It's an honour for me to warmly welcome you, Taoiseach, to the Seanad on behalf of the independent group of your nominees. There's many issues concerning reform that I'd like to raise, but for today's debate I'm going to limit my comments to the tabled agenda item and hope that you can join us again in the near future to discuss other pressing issues that we have. As you said, January 2013 will mark several milestones in our relationship with the European Union. It will coincide with the 40th anniversary of Ireland's accession to the EU, and it will be Ireland's 7th presidency. So Ireland is therefore considered an old hand with a very good track record, and we have a good reputation to maintain. After our presidency in 2013, the date of the next presidency is actually unknown, but it's going to be at least 10 to 20 years' time. So the rotating presidencies are always an advertisement for the country in question. A good, able, competent, successful presidency is what the Irish government should be aiming for, and I believe you've outlined that in your speech this morning. I believe that, coupled with our approach to host events on a cost-effective basis, will contribute to our reputation as a leader and a negotiator. And I am personally involved in attracting and encouraging several conferences and events, particularly from the committee where I was formerly a member, the European Economic and Social Committee, to host some of their activities in Ireland during 2013. I believe that the Lisbon Treaty's introduction of a permanent president for the European Council was a welcome innovation. I believe that Herman Van Rompuy has been doing an excellent job in very difficult circumstances. However, the 6-month rotating presidencies still matter a lot, particularly with regard to the legislative rhythm of the Union, and with a whole range of important policy areas remain with the rotating presidencies, starting with unemployment, especially youth unemployment, economic growth, debt restructuring, agriculture and fisheries, and climate change negotiations are just some of the issues I believe that our presidency can focus on to garner support at home. Ireland's presidency will be particularly significant because it will be the first of the new P5 trio. In the second half of 2013, it's Lithuania, and then we have Greece in the first half of 2014. And they have to agree a 3-presidency programme. And I think it's good that an old hand like Ireland will be getting the P5 trio presidency underway. There's something apt about the fact that this presidency will bring together some of the smaller member states with some of the more troubled economies. And the Irish presidency should therefore be putting its weight very firmly behind any and all initiatives that will foster growth and employment, and above all, push hard on the Europe 2020 strategy. Coupled with growth, we need to put a stronger focus on the well-being of citizens. The Irish presidency, as you've said, may inherit some hot potatoes, as I call them, if they rumble on beyond the Cypriot presidency. The negotiations on the multiannual financial framework, for example, but also the vexed issue of reform of EU staff regulations. And I know we have reform to deal with here at home, but there's a major issue at EU level. And it's also in the nature of rotating presidencies that there will be unknown unknowns. But I believe Ireland has the diplomatic and political machinery and long-standing experience to deal with such issues effectively. But as the EU continues to develop, we need to be absolutely clear when it is most appropriate to take decisions closer to the people affected, i.e. at national or local level, and in other cases when it is best to take action at EU or global level. And I think we need to further examine the balance of competencies. Our presidency will also coincide, coincidentally, with the European Year of Citizens 2013. And for citizens, it should be seen as a chance for Ireland to have our voices heard. Ireland's position as President of the Council can steer the EU's direction back onto the original path of the community, where all voices, no matter how small, were equally heard, where understanding and promotion of diversity in culture and ideas is to the fore. Popular sentiment has turned sour. This is a result of the perceived shift of political power to the centre of Europe and to nations like France and Germany, which are seen now as the drivers of the EU project. The Irish EU Council Presidency team must work hard to ensure that their 2013 agenda focuses on those issues that most affect the Irish people and EU citizens, if it is to generate engagement and support for the EU, as I'm sure they will. I believe some prime examples, areas that that Ireland should be focusing on, are growth and jobs, advancing the digital agenda, strengthening our EU-US trade and economic relations, and promoting competitiveness through enhanced research, development and innovation. In conclusion, I wish to highlight how we need to pay greater attention to the development of the 12 key actions identified to revive the single market. These 12 drivers for growth, competitiveness and social progress include financing for small and medium-sized enterprises, consumer protection and the digital single market. I believe they have the potential to give new momentum which will significantly benefit businesses, workers and consumers. And as the leader, Senator Cummins, outlined, I think the role of this House could be to scrutinise some of those proposals that will come forward in October. I strongly believe that Ireland can play a leading role around the digital agenda and use this to showcase globally our preparedness for innovation and our potential role as a trailblazer. I'll now hand over to my colleague, Senator Sapone.
Welcome, Taoiseach. EU 2020 on a smart, sustainable and inclusive European economy and society specifically calls for fresh thinking and social innovation as a way of revitalising our European social model. Taoiseach, I'd like you to consider two options in our presidency that would mark a very visible contribution to renewing the European social model into the future, thereby complementing our economic leadership as outlined in your speech. My first suggestion has to do with disability. As you know,